Hello everyone, it's Kim here from the Palmore Institute in Colbert. Today I'm going to be looking at the Useful Communications class on Saturday. Okay, so let me explain that here. So what we're looking at today is, so the Useful Communication Junior class on Saturdays, and we basically continue where we left off. Then we got up to Unit 7, what do you use this for? And it was on page 44. Okay, and you're all familiar with the textbook. The textbook is the Interchange Series, number 2. Okay, and we're starting on page 44. Now, the goal of this unit is basically discussing about modern inventions and the uses and purposes of technology. Okay, now the speaking task that you'll be doing in this unit is describing the uses of technology, giving instructions, and also giving suggestions. Now the grammar point, we're looking at infinitives and gerunds for uses and purposes, and imperatives for giving suggestions. Okay, I'll explain about the grammar point in the next one. Okay, so let's go to the first task. And the first task is basically we go to task 1, and on page 44, the task 1, the first task is, are you familiar with these inventions? Okay, so they introduce basically these 12 different inventions. Let's just go through these together. We have smartphones, we have robots, digital cameras, 3D printers, internet, driverless cars, e-readers, GPS technology, tablet computers, drones, streaming TV, and also Wi-Fi. Okay, now let me explain some of these inventions if you're not familiar. Smartphones, you're familiar. Robots, you're familiar. Digital cameras, okay. 3D printers, I'm not sure, okay. 3D printers are a kind of printer that makes models, things out of plastic. Basically plastic figures and plastic things, okay. So it's actually a 3D, three-dimensional printer, okay. The internet and driverless cars, it's kind of in the early stages now, but many car companies are testing driverless cars, basically a car that drives itself by using an onboard computer. Okay, e-readers, maybe you're familiar with some of the, you probably see people on the train, they hold something like a tablet instead of an actual book. They hold something like a tablet, and they actually read books on this actual tablet. And any words or kanji that you're not familiar with, you can touch on the screen and the meaning. There's a dictionary in the actual tablet that will give you the definition or the meaning of a word or kanji that you're looking for. Okay, so that's an e-reader. GPS technology, we're all familiar with that. We have them on our smartphones. Also, I probably see on television people using them for when they're looking for directions. So your smartphone has a GPS. Tablet computers, okay, you're familiar, similar to an iPad, okay, so very thin. Basically computers, the two main computers are a PC computer. A PC computer is basically, Japanese say PC, but we in English, natural English, we say desktop computer, okay, it sits on your desk, so that's a desktop. And the one that you can actually fold, okay, is called a laptop computer. And Japanese will probably say notebook. Okay, so just remember, natural English we say a desktop computer or a laptop computer, and of course these new ones, tablet computers, basically like an iPad. Okay, drones, okay, they're popular as well, and streaming TV. Streaming TV is basically different from your regular TV. Streaming TV is watching TV programs through the internet. Okay, so exactly like this YouTube or Netflix. So you're watching TV programs through the internet, and so example, YouTube or Netflix. And of course the last one is Wi-Fi. Okay, now basically the exercise in the textbook asks you to choose 3 inventions that you couldn't live without. For me personally, number 1, of course, smartphone is important, and of course the internet. You need a lot of information, and also maybe GPS technology. I mean, sometimes I don't know where I am in Japan because it's so difficult in my home country, I mean, if I'm looking for a building or a house, I have the address number 67 Johnson Street. So I look for Johnson Street, number 67. It's easy to find. But in Japan, you have like something Ichomen or Yon or Jugo, and it's just confusing to look for area 1, building block number 16, building number 3. It's difficult. So quite often I use GPS on my smartphone to find my location. So those are the 3 things, the 3 inventions that I couldn't live without: smartphones, internet, and GPS technology. Okay. Now, on the bottom here, let me just explain some of these abbreviations. Sorry. 3D printer. Okay, so D means basically dimensional. Okay, so 3-dimensional printer. Then e-reader. E is abbreviation for electronic, so electronic reader. Then we have GPS technology. You've heard this maybe many times on TV, on the newspaper. Okay, GPS is abbreviation for Global Positioning System Technology. Okay, and of course the last one is Wi-Fi. We're familiar with Wi-Fi, and Y means wireless. Okay, and Fi means fidelity. Okay, so basically it's a kind of how can I say, a kind of mode to transmit data through wireless. Okay, so that's Wi-Fi. So those are those 4 words there, and so hopefully you understand the abbreviations. Okay, moving on to task 2. Okay, now in task 2 in the actual book, they ask you how do you use your smartphone. Okay, so they give you 10 examples of how you use your smartphone. So, for example, some people might say, I use my smartphone to send messages, I use my smartphone for watching videos, to take photos, to post on social media sites, for doing school assignments, to send emails, to listen to music, many things. Now, next to those different things that you can use with your smartphone, they also list adverbs of manner. So let's go through these adverbs of manner. So as you can see, here's an example. We have basically 7 adverbs of manner. So if you use always, usually, often, sometimes, occasionally, hardly ever, rarely, or never. Okay, and in the percentages. So if something that you always do, so it's basically 100%. Maybe you do every day, and usually 90%. Now, often. Now, just be careful the pronunciation of often. Okay, so Americans will say often. Okay, but British English is often. Okay, with the OF. So just be careful the American pronunciation, often, and British pronunciation is often. Okay, and sometimes 50%, occasionally 35%, and hardly ever or rarely 10%, and never 0%. So again, when you use the adverbs of manner, so of course you have to put them before the verb. Okay, so 3 examples here. I always use my smartphone to take photographs. I often use my smartphone for watching videos. And I never use my smartphone to read ebooks. Okay, and basically they give you some examples there. Now, there are some expressions there in the uses of a smartphone. Here are some examples. They give 2 examples here just to clarify the meaning. To post on social media sites. Okay, to post means basically to display in public. Okay, another one for doing school assignments. School assignments means basically school homework or school project. Okay, so those are the 2 expressions that they use if you're not familiar with post and school assignments. Okay, so that's task 2. Okay, so let's move on to task 3. Okay. Now, in task 3, we're basically looking at a grammar point here. So, basically, the grammar point on task 3 is to explain how something is used with an infinitive or gerund. Okay. Now, if you're not familiar with infinitives in general, let me explain. An infinitive is basically to plus the verb. Okay. So let me give you an example. I use my smartphone to send messages. Okay. Or people use the internet to make video calls. Okay, so basically to plus the verb. So to send messages, to make video calls. Okay, now the same sentences using the gerund. Okay, so basically a gerund is for plus the verb plus ing. Okay, and the same two sentences but in the gerund form is I use my smartphone for sending messages. Okay, people use the internet for making video calls. Okay, so that's the difference between an infinitive and a gerund. Okay, so for practice, okay, I've got a couple of sentences here if you like to try. Here's an example here. If I say, my daughter's smartphone has GPS technology. Okay, so my daughter's smartphone has GPS technology. Now, if I try to put that sentence into gerund form, infinitive form, first one is an infinitive form. She uses GPS to get directions. Okay, in the gerund form, she uses GPS for getting directions. Okay, so both sentences are basically the same meaning. It just depends on what form you want to use it in an infinitive form or in the gerund form, but both same meaning. So for practice, okay, I have 5 sentences here. I use Wi-Fi, something, something. People use e-readers. You can use a drone. Engineers use robots. Young people use streaming TV. Okay, so as an exercise, please complete these 5 sentences. It's your choice using the infinitive form or the gerund form. Okay, so that's task 3. Okay, moving on, we go to the pronunciation section. Okay, let me explain the pronunciation section here. So basically, task 4 pronunciation. The objective is try to sound more natural by using stress in words with 2 or more syllables. Okay, so basically you're working on pronunciation, and they want you to put stress on basically the stress point on the syllable in the word. Now, let me explain some words. You might ask me what is a syllable. Okay, we'll just have a look at this chart here. A syllable is a part of a word that contains a single vowel. Okay, vowels you may have learnt in school. Okay, the vowels are A, E, I, O, U. There are 5 of them. So remember, in the English alphabet, there are 26 letters of the alphabet. Okay, and 5 of them are vowels. A, E, I, O, U. In Japanese, you have something similar, but the order is different. It's A, I, U, E, O. Okay, so Japanese A, I, U, E, O, but in English it's A, E, I, O, U, and we put them in alphabetical order. Okay, then of course you've got the 5 vowels, and then of course there's 21 consonants. Okay, so consonants are B, C, D, F, G, J, not I, after H, I, then J, K, L, and so on. Okay, so remember you have 5 vowels and you have 21 consonants. So the important part of vowels is that if you don't have a vowel in a word, you can't pronounce it. So for example, like you have this WF, how do you pronounce it? It's oof, oof, oof. Okay, but if you put vowels, okay, you have Wi-Fi. Okay, it's the same as the second one. You might have a smf, smf. You can't really pronounce it. So by putting in vowels, you've got, smartphone. Okay, so basically every word must have a vowel. If it doesn't have a vowel, you can't pronounce it. Okay, so now going back to syllables. Okay, so syllables are basically when a word is broken up. So as an example, the number of syllables, have a look at this one. Here we have number of syllables. So we've got the word internet. Okay, now internet has 3 syllables. Internet. Okay, and again, each part of a verb has a vowel. Okay, in has I, ter has an E, and net has also an E. Next word we have digital camera. Okay, digital camera. So again, that has 6 syllables. Okay, so again, every word basically has a vowel. If it doesn't have a vowel, you can't pronounce it. Okay, now the exercise in this, the pronunciation exercise for task 4 is basically to put the stress point on which syllable. So we have the same words again, internet, okay, and the stress point is on in. So you have internet, okay, and the next one we have digital camera, so digital, okay, camera. Okay, so digital camera. So basically, that's the point of the exercise of task 4, is putting the stress point on which syllable. Okay, so just remember those words, okay, what a syllable is. There are 5 vowels, remember, 5 vowels, and 21 consonants. Okay, we're moving on to the next page, and we go now to page 46, okay, and 46 we go to task 5, okay, and in task 5, basically objective is introduction of new vocabulary, okay. Now, in this exercise, the task is basically, they've given you 16 words or phrases, and you have to put them into 4 categories, okay. As you see in your textbook, basically the 16 words, and then the 4 categories are basically problems with technology, gadgets and devices, people who are into technology, and things to do online. Okay, so in your textbook you see those 16 expressions. Put basically 4 of those expressions in each of the 4 different categories. Okay, now basically that's what it is here. You put the words and phrases in the appropriate category, and then as an extra, please add one more word or phrase into each category. Okay, now let me give you an example. Okay, there are some in those 16 phrases and words, there are maybe 6 expressions that you may not be familiar with. Okay, let's go through these words. Computer whiz. Okay, what is a computer whiz? B, what is a geek? C, a smart device. D, a flash drive. And E, early adopter. And F, identity theft. Okay, so those are maybe 6 new expressions that you may be unfamiliar with. So please check them in the dictionary. Now, as an exercise, here I have basically the meanings of those words. Okay, so basically with this exercise you've got A, B, C, D, E, F. Please find which sentence matches each word or expression. Okay, let's just go through the first sentence here. We have a person that is extremely interested in computers. Next one, the stealing of a person's private identity information. Next one, a person who is an expert at computers. And the next one, a memory storage device that plugs into a USB port. And next, a mobile device that connects to the internet. Okay, so as an exercise, you've got these 6 expressions. Please find A, B, C, D, E, F. Okay, so that's the basically the task of what you have to do in task number 5. Okay, now let's move on. We go on to the last task, which is number 6. Okay, now unfortunately it's a listening activity. I can't really actually play any audio for you because of copyright laws, but basically it was a listening task, and what you had to do was listen to 2 people talking about the best applications. Okay, what you can do, I mean, I can't actually play the audio, but if you follow these, so in the back of your textbook you've got a login code, and then you can log into Cambridge Online, and it has the address written on the back of the textbook. So if you like to listen to the actual conversation, please go online and then listen to the conversation online, and then complete the textbook exercise. Okay, now if you want to challenge yourself, you can challenge yourself by trying the online activities that are also available for that unit. Okay, and also for extra practice, please try the Grammar Plus exercises on page 138, Unit 7, Part 1. Okay, so that's it for today. That's basically task 1 to 6. Okay, I'll see you in the next video, and I'll do task 7 to 12. Okay, thank you. Take it easy. Okay, see you next time.